Okay, when you're outside, the first thing you're going to do is choose a place to play. You're going to find a nice grassy area, about 40 feet long by 20 feet wide. And you're also going to pay attention to where that sun is. What you want to do is stand, if you were playing, in this case we're east and west, both teams have a good clear view. If we set that net up playing north and south, you're going to be having one team look straight into the sun. So depending on the time of year, that will change. So that's a little pro tip. Steve, why don't you grab half of that? We'll go lay this out where we're planning to play. And this will give us enough area, so you go ahead and lay that out right there. That's it.
What's that thing? Little wraps?
Little wraps.
Anytime.
Oh, anytime, okay. All right, so the next step after you've laid your net out is you're going to assemble the poles, which are going to be your net frame on each side. They're numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, those numbers could wear off. They will eventually. It's very easy to remember. Number 1 is the base. It's a T. Number 4 at the top has the hook where you're going to anchor your ropes to. So those are easy to remember. And then the difference between 2 and 3, 2 is longer than 3. And it goes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now this is the height of the net, okay? So that's going to be taller than most of the players on the court. So before actually going over here and inserting the sleeve into the post, we're going to go ahead and choose a level that will be closer to the height of the tallest player on the court. And that's the second one down. Do you see how I did that? I pushed that button in, slide it up. That's the tallest. Oh, actually, sorry about that. That's the tallest, way up there at about 6'8". This is still too tall. That's about probably a 6'4" player. And this looks about right. So now it's time to put these poles in. Okay, now you can cut that. Okay, so if you have a partner, you do this together, it's much quicker. It can be done by yourself. We're going to show you how 2 people set up. So just make sure that you're both at the right height, and for the majority of players, that's going to be the 3rd button down. That'll be about a 5'10" to 6 foot player. Okay, so take those over to the sleeves, and in each of these sleeves you're going to see a very tiny slit right up at the top end of the sleeve. That's how you know which end of the net goes up. And this hook, where we're going to attach our guy lines to stake it down, will slide right on through that. So you go ahead and insert your sleeve, find that slit, poke it through, and you do that on both sides. And this, of course, is going to be on the outside because you're going to be pulling those stakes down on each side. And then go ahead and tighten that up. Make sure everything looks good, that your net isn't twisted. Then we'll move on to the next step of staking this down. Okay, so if you haven't seen this segment of a video already, these are called guy lines. Those attached to the stakes. And then these are slide tensioners. And as you see on that slide tensioner, which is already attached to your guy line when you open your box, there are 3 holes. Okay, and there's a knot that attaches that to the bottom. What you want to do is create a small loop between the bottom and the middle hole in the tensioner, and slide your stake right on through it. And that is, your stake is going to come off, but every time it does, you'll know exactly which loop it needs to go through. And the reason you do that, I'm going to give you a quick demo now, but we'll give you another one when it's all set up. When it's in that hole, this slide tensioner easily slides to create more tension, and then you can loosen it the same way. So we'll show you that in action, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how that works. If you can master this, it makes setup and takedown a whole lot easier. Okay.
Anytime.
Okay, and as we've already shown you, there's now a loop that you tied in the middle of this guy line, and as you know, there's a loop that we've tied in the middle of the guy line if you followed instructions on your do this first. We have unwound the guy line ropes and the stakes. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take that loop and slip it over the hook, okay? And then, as you see, these stakes, we have the guy line slide tensioner all the way tight against the top of that stake. It's best if you go ahead and give it a nice pull, give it a maybe a foot and a half, so you have a nice big loop of a foot and a half. Go ahead and put that first stake in the ground like that. Go ahead and stand your game up, and you can lean it a little bit more toward the partner so it doesn't fall. Do the same thing again here with this stake. Give it some tension, or rather tighten that up a little bit. You're going to come out at a V and stick that in. Now, depending on your ground, this ground is very soft. You could take a hammer out with you if it's harder ground. You can put your foot on it and push it down a little bit like this. And then you just square this post up so that it's at a 90-degree angle to the ground, or right angle to the ground. And as soon as both sides are standing up, that's when you use this slide tensioner. You reach down, and if you have your loop the way you're supposed to, you pull on the top right here, and you pull up here. Look up here. You pull on the top here to bring that post tight, and then you take up that slack by sliding the tensioner up. You do that on both sides. Give it a nice pull, slide that tensioner up, and you can just make some minor adjustments to try and get that post straight up and down. So if you come on over here, I'll show you something that you might have happen to you. When you look straight at this post, you're going to see, now I'm a perfectionist, it's angled a little bit to the right. So if that's angled a little bit to the right, there are a couple ways you can fix that. One, you can just kind of come out to the post and give it a couple of kicks. It's going to increase the tension, but it's also going to straighten that out. You can also have your partner over there tighten his side while you loosen your side up. But once you're comfortable with a square net, it's time to move on to the next step. Let's set some boundaries.